Thank you for coming today. I want to say that it is my intent to be open and transparent with your questions, but I ask that you respect the fact that I cannot comment on specifics that would be contained in the lawsuit. So I know that's a balancing act, but I ask that you understand and respect that. I want to begin by saying that I'm blessed to have a fantastic wife, two beautiful daughters, and three adorable granddaughters. I say that because I have tremendous empathy and sympathy for the alleged victims and all victims of sexual assault across the country. It is simply an unacceptable act. And I can tell you that at the University of Tennessee, the chancellor has made this his top priority, as many, and should be all universities across the country. This has to gain the attention of everyone. I care deeply about our student athletes, but I also care deeply about our student body. And we've worked very, very hard to educate as a priority, not only in the athletics department, but on our campus at large. We encourage victims to come forward. And it is my hope that the amount of publicity that has been generated in recent days will not discourage victims from coming forward, because that's a huge part of our collective effort. Guilty parties should be immediately dealt with and prosecuted. That is my view of those that commit this type of act. Again, the university has spent a considerable amount of time in discussion on this topic. I have the privilege of serving on the Chancellor's Cabinet with all other Vice Chancellors. I can assure you that at this university, this is discussed very frequently, as it is in our department. We've gone to great lengths to educate. And I don't think there's a team meeting that takes place, male or female teams, where coaches don't discuss this. There's not a meeting in our department when we have head coaches meetings or all departmental staff meetings where we don't address this. It's not just about students. It's about all of us. And we talk about it often. And it will remain a priority. We are not the judge and jury. We have to remember that each person is entitled to due process. We don't engage in that. We don't engage in the investigations that take place, be they with law enforcement or student conduct. That's not our role. Other people have been designated to those roles. We do have open lines of communication with people on campus that are important to the process. We have a communication process which we developed in 2012 that encompasses everyone on campus that would be engaged in conversations about prevention and in dealing with situations that occur. I was out of town on Tuesday with the Chancellor. Quite candidly, we were meeting with outside counsel and our own on-campus counsel. There were 6 to 8 of us who met during the large part of the morning on what we're here talking about today. And I do want to say, while I'm sharing that with you, because many of you have asked, and I know a lot of people in the media have said, well, why wasn't the athletic director or why wasn't the chancellor at that coach's press conference? I know, and I didn't see it until very late that evening, hours after it had concluded. But I know Ryan Robinson shared with you that the coaches came to Ryan a few weeks back after a coaches meeting, and it was their request to have a forum for them to express their views, primarily focused on the inaccurate narrative that we have read about and heard about through various media outlets and reporting. We have a great culture in our building, and I would feel extraordinarily comfortable for you to walk this building, talk to our custodians, talk to our clerical people, talk to our staff and student athletes. I'm proud of the culture that we have here, but I also understand that it is all of our responsibility to continue to address what is a national problem across America. We should take a leadership role in trying to address it, and that has been our intent and will remain our intent. We're not perfect. We're far from it. And I think anybody that would claim that they've got everything under control is probably drifting around with blinders on. We know we're not perfect. It's like raising your own children. If you have multiple children, you try to raise them the same way. You try to teach them the same core values. You discipline them when discipline is necessary. But I have many friends who have 3 and 4 children where one of them didn't get the message. And it's sad. They make bad choices. They run with the wrong people. The parents love them just as much, but they didn't get on the right path. We're obligated to help our student athletes understand that, to hold them accountable. And there's no question that every time we've had an issue, every time someone has made a poor choice, and I'll use Butch as the example, he has immediately disciplined them. They have been immediately suspended. They know there are consequences. Are we getting through to all 130 football players or all 30 men's and women's basketball players? I think we're getting through to a large majority of them. We have to remember that at that age group of 17 to 22, that's a challenge. But that's not on them, that's on us. And we'll continue to drive that point home, and we'll continue to educate at every turn. Knoxville, this community means a lot to me. This university means a lot to me. The people who love this university, as I do, mean a lot to me. We have a lot of great stories to tell. We have a lot of fantastic student athletes. They're bright, they're sharp, they're sponges, and they represent us very, very well. And that's the sad part in all of this, and it's true campus-wide, that most of the people here are really good people, high majority. But those stories sometimes can and do get lost, and should get lost, in a moment like we have had. We try to teach values that are important to us. I haven't changed my core values. I've never compromised them. But I'm a lot older than these young men and women that we're working with. And when I was their age, I made some bad decisions, stupid mistakes. But it can't impact the lives of the people you hurt. It can't. Those types of bad decisions are inexcusable. We also have to face the reality of education of drug and alcohol abuse across the country, on every campus. Because usually there's a connection to the bad decision. And while I told Ralph Weekly, I'm not sure 10 o'clock is the magic hour, but But he's right. Bad things happen late at night. That's part of your choice that you're making. Again, athletics plays no role in investigative processes. We have one liaison, something we put in motion when I got here, when this coaches don't interact, our staff doesn't interact with investigative processes. We have one liaison, and that person is the liaison to the appropriate people. Vince Corelli, Vice Chancellor for Student Life, Title IX Coordinator. That's how we operate, and we've done that very, very consistently. I believe very, very strongly in what we're doing here in the athletics program at the University of Tennessee, and I trust Butch Jones implicitly. I know who he is. I know what his work ethic is. I know what he's made of this university well beyond the Department of Athletics. And I know how he's represented the university. And again, I trust in him implicitly. We have over 550 student athletes in our total student athlete population. And it's our responsibility to equip them with the knowledge that will carry them into the next stage of their lives. Part of that is that maturation process I referenced. And it's complex. It's very, very complex when you're dealing with young people. But we'll continue to focus on that as we have in the past and as we continue to as we go through this academic year. Our provost deals with many, many issues. She has an extremely complex job that she does. So we have good people, and we'll continue to work to eliminate, and that's a big task when you're talking about a campus with the numbers, but within reason, that should be our goal, to eliminate this issue on campuses. And those people who make those choices, as I said earlier, they need to pay the price of the disruption they've caused for women and families who've been subjected to sexual assault.